Hi, this is Ray Anderson, founder of Good Heart Leadership. How to get what you want by getting the most out of what you've already got. The fact of the matter is that I think, in my experience, that two things dominate our results in our life. One is our leadership, which is transformational. If you're a good leader, it makes the people around you and yourself better. The second one is management. And that's transactional. It enables you to perfect processes that you use in your business or in your life to get better results. But what I've experienced, and why I'm talking to you today, is that in most small businesses, in fact, in most lives, quick fixes dominate. And not because we're just enamored of them and we like them, but most of us, spend a lot of our time at home and at work and in our careers firefighting. And, face it, when your building is burning and your hose has a leak, duct tape is the perfect solution. And my point in this is that sometimes it's necessary and it's really important that we have duct tape. But the question not is whether you use it, the question is you continue to use it. And so today what we're going to be talking about in more detail is how do we go from that temporary and important duct tape solution to a long-term, permanent, gorilla-proof solution. And that's what we really want you to work on. And the interesting thing for both of us, it's not like I'm not struggling with this. I've been at this, as you can tell, a long time. But the truth of the matter is we all struggle with it. And it seems to be a twisted application of that old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But the truth is, you and I both know, and I know in my own business, it is broken. And I just, sometimes I'm too exhausted to fix it. I mean, it's a chronic problem. And I keep fighting it, and you may be in the same position 24/7, and it saps my energy, and it also steals the profit out of the business. So what I want us to think about is what can we do to make the invisible visible? What can we do to make the fires go away so we can spend more time on prevention rather than firefighting? So what I want you to look at here is if you followed our sequence for planning, and if you listened to the last video, you saw that what we recommend is you create a scheduling tool that will permit you to look at the entire year in a glance. And in that, we're telling you to follow the duct tape quick fixes with something much more permanent, particularly in the areas, in my experience, that most small businesses struggle most in because they're important, but they're not urgent. Marketing, and frequently even sales. So today's emphasis will be on how do you organize your calendar to reflect the elements that Michael Gerber put in his book, E-Myth. That is guiding it, getting it, doing it, and running it. So what we want you to see is that we have a step-by-step scheduling system for you to begin to implement that will enable you to more effectively move forward with your marketing and sales so that this year and next year won't look the same. Our goal is to double your business next year because you will be focused on the things that matter in marketing and sales and not be distracted by those things that consume you and distract you. First of all, you got to guide it. What I want you to think about in terms of that in your marketing and sales effort, what are you doing currently that's faster, that's better, that's simpler, that's cheaper than your competitors? And how do you know? This is the time to take this month and schedule time to analyze how you're doing in those areas and make milestones for it. When are you going to collect the data to be able to look at how you're doing as compared to those other three? Next thing I want you to think about is how do you get it? What has worked for you over the past year successfully over and over again in terms of either getting or keeping your customers? Conversely, what didn't work? And why didn't it work? My point to you is let's do more of what worked and put it in the schedule. I want you to think about how we're going to be doing that because, again, if you let the firefighting run you, it's going to be duct tape. If we begin to put into our quarterly schedule those things that are really important to getting it, they're going to be there too. And third, you're going to have to do it. What I mean by that, it's doing in this particular context those things in marketing and sales that will make a big difference. And here are the three that I would like you to think about. First of all, what you need to do to keep in front of the customers that you currently have. People that have already paid you very well. My experience, and I'm sure yours is similar, 80 to 90% of them will stay with you because they've already trusted you. They've already given you their business. And if you had something new or more powerful or something meaningful, they'd be ready to purchase it. So continue to build that relationship. The second thing I want you to do is, what are you doing now to capture and grasp more prospects, either through email or direct mail or something else, so that you have a new batch to be able to add to those 15 to 20% that are going to leave for whatever reason. And third, if they've responded to your direct mail, your phone call, or your email, how are you going to establish a meaningful follow-up system to ensure that you are continuing to give them information on a regular, consistent basis to stay in front of them? We know from experience that most people will not buy until they've been approached at minimum of 5 to 7 times. And the truth of the matter is, the reason most small businesses remain small businesses is they only go back twice. The ones who are the big businesses in your neighborhood that are in your same niche, ensure that they follow up that 5th time, because that's when the person's ready to buy. Finally, you have to run it. And the running of it, the operational side of the business, is always very difficult, and it's a challenge. You know, what I mean by that is that now that you have these things in place, how do you operationalize them so that they're consistently being done? And one of our hopes for you is that you really begin to work on that, to be able to tighten up those elements of marketing and sales that need to be followed up by you on a regular and consistent basis. The common mistake that we all make is that we tend to do the things that took up our time last year, and we're asking you to refocus that, and that's why the scheduling on our scheduling software, on our Excel spreadsheet, can be very helpful to you. The problem is that we don't want you to spend the time on regulatory miscompliance and infighting and people challenges and all that, when you need to be spending on those things that we just talked about. If you have to do any of those items that we talked about above more than 3 times, we're going to encourage you to automate them. Now, we use a software that we particularly like called Infusionsoft. It makes our job a lot easier. It could make your job easier, but it can be expensive. We know that some of you are struggling. You could begin with something as simple as MailChimp.com. Let me repeat that, MailChimp.com. It's a free email delivery service. We all know you keep all your emails from all your customers and all your prospects, and you want to get back after them. You can deliver up to 500 emails to 500 customers at no expense to you, except for the time it takes to do that. And you need to block that time. So what we're going to ask you to do, once you've done this, the next step is now you're going to have to create your ideal week, your ideal month, your ideal quarter, and your ideal year. Now, that sounds like a mouthful, and that's a lot to begin with. But what I want you to begin to understand is, if you start doing this now, if you do the ideal week, you realize that, wow, I have a lot more control over my time than I think. And particularly those things that I know matter, the marketing and sales. Because if you're in it like I am, I have a passion to deliver things that I think are of quality to people. I love helping people become good-hearted leaders, people who understand they become more, they can be more, and they can do more. So I'm really challenged by that. So we're going to show you how to set aside at least 4 hours of time each week to review how you did in the last week, how it compared to the week before that. More importantly, how did it compare to last quarter? Because those things are important as we move forward and say, okay, if I make these adjustments, I'll be able to get my double. What I mean by that double is that most of us, if we incrementally change a little bit month to month, at the end of the year, you can double your sales. It's commonly done, particularly when we focus on those things that matter. And one of the other side benefits of this that are really exciting is that once you get more control of your time, those firefights that inevitably will be here will not be as stressful, because you realize, hey, I'm a little further along on the fire prevention than I was last time. This fire is not going to be as big, and I'm going to be able to control it. So what I've learned in the 25 years that I've been doing this is that regardless of the business or discipline I've been in, good-hearted leaders learn more, they earn more, they do more, and they give more. And we'd like you to be a part of that as we move forward. If you'd like to know more, I'd like you to just look at some of the comments made by people who have been on the course before. We hope this has helped. Next week, we're going to talk a little bit more about how we can help you find that 4 hours of block time. Thank you.